Burnt, Councilman, 2nd District. I'd like to welcome each and every one to the Public Safety Committee meeting. With me, I have my colleagues representing the 3rd District, Mary Brown, 4th District, Linda Barnes Caldwell. I'm sorry, 5th, I apologize. The 4th, Marion Ivy, the 6th District, Dwight Williams, Councilman at Large, Dan Washington, and Kenneth Withington. Today we're going to discuss CPO 2025-18, an ordinance of the City of Gary, Indiana, prohibiting graffiti within the City of Gary, sponsored by Mayor Eddie Melton, City of Gary. We'll have an overview by the city.
Good evening, council members. Hope you all are doing well. This is an ordinance that the mayor is very serious and adamant about getting passed to address the proliferation of graffiti within the city. What it does, in a nutshell, is it both firms up what our procedure is, establishes fines and fees for graffiti, both for the people who are the vandals who are, putting this graffiti on our buildings and whatnot, and provides a method whereby a property owner who acts quickly can get the graffiti removed if it's not their fault, but also provides for fines if they don't get into compliance, and we can charge people if the city has to go out and remove graffiti from buildings. So it's kind of attacks the problem. We hope we've been comprehensive on attacking each element of the problem. I'll kind of go into a little bit more detail. So first of all, it establishes and defines what graffiti is. So it's the obvious things that we know as being, the spray painting on buildings, but also it includes vandalism, and it includes something that's called snipe signs, which are those unpermitted, unauthorized signs that people put in the parkway or at each stoplight, whether they attach a sign to a pole or put those little signs with the little stakes in the ground that you see all over the place. So those are defined as graffiti, and we can remove them and charge the people who put them there for the fact that you're basically littering and dirtying up the city. So it makes those things unlawful. If we catch you with graffiti implements, that's also a violation. So the police in the last year and a half have caught people with multiple cans of spray paint. We know they're on the way to, do graffiti, but our laws weren't clear enough to say it's like catching me with a, shotgun and I'm walking to a bank. I'm about to rob it. Not that I do that, but you want to be able to charge the person for the crime that they're obviously about to permit. So even having those implements are illegal now. Stores who sell spray paint have to post signs and explain that you really can't sell spray paint to minors unless they prove that they're involved in an educational program, with art that is going to be used for a legit purpose. And so it impacts how stores can display spray paint and that kind of thing. So it increases the duties of both the police department and code enforcement to go out and find these violations and cite the violators. So the police department, and they can delegate to code enforcement, will issue notices of violations, citations, and/or criminal charges, and take other necessary action for the enforcement of this ordinance. And again, the city will send out notices of violations to property owners. The property owners will have 5 days to get in contact with the city and provide a waiver if the city is to remove the graffiti right away. If they fail to do that, well, then we're going to cite them, and they're going to have to pay for the cost of cleanup. So I can go into more detail. Why don't I focus on penalties? So a fine for a first offense is $300, and it goes up from there. For property owners who fail to abate graffiti, Their first violation is a fine not to exceed $150. Second violation within a year is $250 for any violation within a 365-day period. And then after a second violation, your third violation is a fine of $300. And each subsequent violation, it just keeps, each separate violation is $300, and it could be $300 per day for failure to remove that graffiti. And then for the purposes of calculating the first, second, and third violations, if you own multiple properties and each have a violation, well, you could be at 3+ violations on your first day. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The Public Works will be tracking its costs and passing those costs on to the property owners who are not in compliance. And we are hoping that we can answer all your questions today so that we can get this implemented as soon as possible, because we certainly have been working hard to clean up the city, but we really do need this ordinance to beef up our enforcement efforts. So, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Any questions?
I have a question. You said, okay, good example. Roosevelt High School back there in the stadium, graffiti everywhere. So is that the city? That particular area belongs to the city?
Right. So we wouldn't cite ourselves. We just need to go out and clean it up.
Okay.
Now, Ms. Rachel Morgan Caesar can talk about equipment that they're acquiring to help Public Works be able to remove graffiti like that where it's on the government building. You
But
can't hear
as
me?
an individual, if I have a business and I'm in a location that I keep getting tagged, you're gonna find me?
So if you sign a release, which is a form that we're working on finalizing, and you immediately send that release to the city is gonna abate that graffiti. So there, if you're, the example I used earlier when I was talking about this, you're Miss Johnson, you live in, you live in Glen Park. Somebody tagged your garage last night. If you notify the city right away and give us permission to go on your property to abate it, and you do it right away, then we'll go out and remove the graffiti, and it's not gonna cost you. But if you're somebody who, you own 20 properties in town, all of them have graffiti on it, we're gonna fine you, you're gonna have to pay the cost of removal. So innocent property
But
owners.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Well, so
Someone else
you
did.
didn't do it, but so you know it's there. You notify the city, hey, somebody did this to my property. We're gonna abate it for you. But if you're absentee landlord, right? Somebody tagged all 3 of your apartment buildings, and you don't do nothing about it. Your tenants complain. You're like, I don't care. Then Mr. Edwards is gonna come out and ticket you and your building, and even though you didn't do it, if you don't timely get it removed, then you end up with fines and fees. So we're trying to do kind of a stick in the carrot. We want to motivate people to get this graffiti cleaned up, and we've acquired the equipment and all that to do as much of this that the city can do, but at the same time, you also have to have a penalty portion so that people will, come on, let us, help us help you. But if you don't take advantage of that, well, now you got the fines, you got to pay the cost to clean up.
So how are you gonna identify these people? Maybe they don't know that the city is going to do this. Are you all going to?
So code enforcement and police department are gonna give them notices that, hey, there's graffiti on your building. With that notice will be the form that you can sign, the release to say, I want the city to come clean it up, and then we'll go clean it up. If you ignore that notice, then now we have to go into the penalty phase of this ordinance, and we gotta say, you gotta clean it up. We were gonna clean it up for you if you assign that and return the form timely, but if you didn't, now here's your citation, see you in court, and then you're gonna have to pay the cost to clean up. So trying to be fair both to property owners and homeowners, but also trying to be fair to all the residents of the city who are sick of seeing everything get tagged and, you know, just bringing down your property value because, you know, your neighbor won't do anything about the graffiti at their house or their business or whatever, so.
Well, that's not new. We've attempted in the past to get something done in terms of people who place signs on property or, you know, they're having an affair and they place those signs all over town. So I'm glad you're doing this. It's not new. We attempted to do it before, but we didn't. Years ago, we never did anything about it. So I'm glad that we're doing it now because people, they will just place those signs all over the place. And like for dances, parties, those kinds of things. So
No.
I'm glad you're doing that as well as the graffiti. The graffiti is horrendous. It's everywhere, but I'm glad you're doing the signs as well.
Now, Councilwoman Brown, if they come get a permit for the signs, it's fine. But, you know, if I want to offer everybody free cable for life and put it
Right.
in every intersection, that's the problem. Or whatever people are offering.
Any more questions? Councilman Ivy? Councilman Ivy?
Thank you, Councilman Halliburton. The signs that are gonna go in the stores, will the city provide those to the stores? Or will that be something they have to post on their own?
So, to be honest, I haven't thought that part through. We need to have a discussion about whether we're gonna make those signs available to people, to store owners. I think that's reasonable, and that's not a huge cost, rather than waiting for them to get it printed. But
Okay.
we're open to suggestion on that part of it.
And then, my next question is, the businesses that comply to the graffiti ordinance, is there a method in place for them to report back to say, hey, City of Gary, we've complied, the graffiti is removed?
We do need to add that to our procedure, that if you got notice and you removed it yourself, we do need to work that.
So that way
into-
we could keep track of the businesses that did comply in case, like Councilwoman Barnes Caldwell